we've got 14 readers. I am considering reading a couple of poems because, as I
Yay.
said, Donald can't make it tonight. He'll be better. He'll be better tomorrow, probably, but it'll be too late. And so I thought I might start by
Yes,
reading a couple of
absolutely.
poems. Mine aren't really performance poems,
Great.
but we'll have a look and see. If you read my Substack, you'll see that I've been doing a lot of paintings. I haven't been going out to paint, but I felt like painting landscapes, so I just painted all the trees I can see from the back of my house. So,
When?
and I've traced them from the end of January through to now,
Great.
and now they suddenly burst
So you're
into
ready.
green. So I'll read the latest poem of those. It's called Transformation Scene. I was thinking of a pantomime transformation scene, the way that gorgeous change they used to put up when the fairy came on or whatever. Here we are, transformation scene. Today a green flame is lit. A young sapling shines on the stage set beyond my garden wall. A delicate green curtain has dropped across the lattice of dark branches I've been tracing for weeks on canvas. Now the trees are defined as solid entities that outline a three-dimensional space. Now each tree asserts its species, a cloudy filigree of late buds, a dark clot of early foliage. Lime sings against sage. Rusty auburn stands with mossy blossom spikes, rich opaque accents of pine and fir. The annual transformation has occurred, and I'm amazed and grateful. To whom? I ask, but I don't expect an answer. And a much shorter one. This one I wrote last year. I became friends with a blackbird when I was gardening, as you do. It's called The Blackbird and I. The blackbird and I caught each other's eye, stopped, paused, stared. His yellow iris glared. The feathers on his head bristled, and he said, "This garden's mine." "Fine," I replied, "fine." I was surprised to hear him speak, with his sharp orange beak filled with a wriggling bouquet. "Dinner time," he called as he flew away. So there we are. Now we're going to hear first from Gary. We've got 14 readers to come, which is wonderful.
Oh God.
So Gary Day, would you like to unmute and read us some of your poems? We've all got 5 minutes.
Okay. This is a poem called Cure. There was no peace. Wherever he went, they pursued him. My father's blind. My child can't walk. Deliver us from the madman who cries among the tombs. Lepers hailed him from afar. Take pity on us. Such was his fame that one woman trusted the very hem of his robe would stop her bleeding. He cured them all, the blind, the deaf, the mad, and the lame. But the eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear with hearing. They became nostalgic for their infirmities. Privation had been a peculiar blessing, an improvisation around a physical incapacity. Healing, they realized, was not to be made whole, but to be set free, to live beyond themselves without any idea how. They remembered the rabbi and went once more to seek him out. That one. And I can't remember if I've read this one before, and if I have, I'm sorry. Just say you
Don't
have,
worry.
and I'll stop.
We have a different
It's called
audience every
Sunlight.
month.
Okay, well, this is called Sunlight, and it's about the paintings of Edward Hopper. He could be a figure in one of his own paintings, a tall man in a fedora hat, leafing through the NYT under elms in Central Park. Sun guides his brush to Sunday streets, gas stations on empty roads, blonde grass sashaying to a house at noon, then on to the electric city with its medley of ticks and visionary moments. Boredom made numinous at a midnight diner. A sudden gust fluttering a nursemaid's mantle, the flickering symmetry of a lifted curtain and the wind-stirred dress of a woman basking on a step. Light measures the distance between strangers, leaves whatever dreams of love they have intact, is an annunciation on walls, a golden geometry missed by occupants who look out of windows, mesmerized by worlds bigger than their own. He lays aside the paper and returns home, where Joe opens a can of beans. There's the usual bickering, this time without blows, and then it's back to the calm of the canvas, with its characters contemplating in colour the pallor of their lives. That's it.
That was lovely. I loved
Thank
that
you.
first poem. I really recognise that.
Oh, thank you.
You said something very sensible and serious there.
No, I know, and I take the compliment. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I like Edward Hopper too. And you managed to have an ekphrastic poem about every Edward Hopper poem picture I've ever seen. That was lovely. Thank you.
Oh,
Um,
great.
Evadne, Evanthe. I keep calling you Evadne. I'm sorry. Evanthe, would you like to read for us now, please?
Okay. 3 rather more domestic poems. First one, Losing It, published in Reach magazine 24. How did you slip seamlessly through the mesh of my memory? Once you were everywhere, unwanted guest, disposable garden pest. Once we smashed you on sight, snail raced you in broad daylight. Unipedalist, barefoot, off track, your shoe hoisted onto your back. A cartoon character, an evolutionary joke. You slid under cover of a lettuce cloak. I find you tucked under the pot on the terrace, prize you off. Your sucker foot shrinks to frilly upside down fist. Surfaces 4 sensors, 2 eyes on stalks, wave, tip touch, reach, pull back. U-turn on your glossy road, flow in riffling grey petticoat. Weave lattice work with holes in my green vegetables.
Very good. Very good.
That's great. Have you got another one?
Yes, I've got 3. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
My 5 minutes. Right. This one's from a 7-year-old point of view. Coalmen in 1954. Clack, clack. A horse on cobbled streets hauls a wooden cart against the steep. Metal wheels, bulging sacks unchained, troglodytes in leather suits arranged. Hessian sacks, 100 weight of coal. They turn their caps to dignify their role. Stiff with coal dust, lift their heavy burden, cantilevered over polished jerkin. Coal hole cover rattled loose, they stoop to pour the rumbling coal slip, choking soot. Spent back to back upon the cart, they stack them flat like dog-eared playing cards. A livelihood that soon became extinct, turned back to front, laboriously to print. And then last one really follows what you were saying, Janice. My husband is an artist, and he gets up 6:30 to paint tree in the back garden in pastel. This was written in February but published in May 26 in Reach. Artist at sunrise. Early morning swings his legs from bed, torso arcs to upright under vest, shrugs on shirt, his coat, his woolen hat, over trousers, gloves, and all of that which keeps him warm, his daily carapace complete with spectacles in place. In kitchen makes the tea with spot of milk, puts cup outside the door on windowsill, gathers easel loosely held with screws, paper laid on board, deftly secures. Glimmering sky sharpens up the view, silhouette in doorframe hardly moves. His pencil poised, the paper seems to rise, like sun's first rays, to cauterize his eyes. Thank you.
That's lovely. You make an art object out of your husband. That's very nice. I liked all three of those. That was an ode to a snail, really, wasn't it? Very good. Yeah, very nice. Right. Aaron, can we hear from you, please?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. This first one references Back to the Future, and I feel I should also apologise maybe to Vladimir Zelensky. But the truth is, I don't know what the truth is. One day I think he's backed by the CIA. One day I think he's the most noble thing on earth. But anyway. A salmagundi of started but unfinished projects in a sick, transient, inglorious mundi where Holocaust survivor offspring perpetrate genocide as they extirpate Nakba survivors, where an ex-colonel of the KGB takes measures to report on the Black Sea against a CIA choreographed battalion cotillion danced by Zelensky, where the scent of dissent is arrested in demos in our democracy, where the star of a reality TV is raping the statues of liberty in the car like Biff tried to rape Lorraine. George McFly, clench your Washingtonian fist. Now is the time for all good Georges to come to the aid of the party and biff, democratically. Epstein's teens have set the scene, but we are slowly being erased from the picture, while Ghislaine's ripening hanging pardon will ensure she omits Trump from her statement, and every ratio decidendi is an obiter dicta. Alrighty. I've known grief for about a few years now, and this is about keep fighting the inheritance tax. It's just nuts. And but it's the terrible thing. I look forward these days to battling the HMRC, and that shouldn't be my life. Bank statements, invoices, takeaway menus take us away, shivering on nightmare-woven magic carpets through clouded consciousness, the mist rising from draining accounts of leaking stomachs, sheet music for shit dances by belly butterflies, unpacking a box of four-sided capital mob caps that we fools wear upon our heads in this consumer circus, the digits jingling about our ears, make us tread a comical, tragic, unnatural path as those who watch us pity us and laugh. A box folder pit of unorchestrated debt, stabbing staccato numbers circling my head like biplanes circled King Kong during entropy at my tottering homeostasis. I have hoarded my grief for far too long. I have been recharging it when it looks like running out, for grief has been my only brief. It has given me something to push back against. The wince-tickling self-accusations of underachieving and procrastination, that cranium-rebounding sound like tearing cardboard over a recycling bin. And now there comes the possibility of a new clownish routine, possibly less tragic, less comic, more serene, less head crap, less fool's cap. I don't think I could bear the relief. I don't believe I have such self-belief. When it comes to the scrunch, a sap in the tree of existence, time to turn over a new grief. And this last one, well, we've just had April. I know I'm going to say something heretical. I always thought The Wasteland was overrated. I like the first page, but, you know. Yeah. And for Donal as well, and for Janice, who love their football. Here we go, being a Tottenham fan. April is the cruelest month, breeding lily-white failure along the South Stand, watching those overpaid cunts lose immune to inflation, but not to relegation. In the changing rooms, the women come and go, talking of Cristiano Ronaldo. Thomas Stearns, you're just as fated, but I think your poem's overrated. A towering rye skyscraper. Wasteland, waste of paper.
Oh, in a way, it's quite a good thing Donald isn't here because he'd be arguing with you.
Yes, of course he would.
He's a big fan. I'll tell him. I'll show him the video though. Then you'll be sorry.
Yeah, then I'll be sorry. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Now we're going to press on to Ray. Ray Poole, please.
Hello there, everybody. The first offering is called Four-Legged Fiend. Once I had a vampire cat. It tore my throat out, no doubt of that. Now I'm covered in pussy fur. I often hiss, but seldom purr, roaming the quiet streets at night, giving people an awful fright. With my pussy ways and pussy graces, addicted to thrills and midnight chases. I dream of being human again. My life as a cat, an utter pain. I'm no man's pet, and that's for sure. Needle sharp in tooth and claw. So please take pity on my soul. Find me a consecrated hole with a stake in place and head removed, or stuffed and mounted, tongued and grooved. Nice little starter. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, the next one is, I don't know how to describe this, but it's kind of messing about with words, and it's called The Twisting of Words. Don't rely too much on words, nor trust their wily ways, signs that can lead to cul-de-sacs. Some come clothed in latest fashions, so watch your backs. Treat them like playthings, remove their sting, toy with them, be ready to laugh at each preposterous paragraph. Don't initiate the prompting verbs, be scornful of fruiting epigraph. Take your daily pinch of salt, devise your own vocabulary, or your dreams will come to naught. Kick some adjectives into touch. Disobey what you were taught. Thank you. And the last one is quite topical in a funny sort of way. It's called Life After Barbie. Take the president from his see-through box, the figurehead of a nation divided, place him in the stand provided. In this position, you can dress him from his wardrobe options once decided. Long red tie, baseball cap, patent shoes, chastity belts. A touch of humour never goes amiss. Connect him via USB to a suitable speaker. Switch on the device, listen to his voice. Hear him talk on important issues. I expect the war to soon be over. Let's do a deal. We're working on a deal. I never met that guy. All false claims. The votes were rigged. We're sealing our borders. Additionally available is the rollout golf course, a piece together Mar-a-Lago, a model of the White House in its present form, a tariff update with a trade embargo. For better effect, face him to the east, where he can be his most defective. He will eventually need recharging. The green light then will turn bright red. We are confident you will enjoy the president, and so will the kids, even the pooch. Don't forget to save the planet. Switch your president off each night. Conservation will save the nation, knowing that with him, the future's bright. Thank you and good night.
If only we could switch him off each
I know.
night, it would be a bit of a relief, wouldn't it?
Well, the
Horrible in
idea
the
of him,
mornings.
the idea of him being impotent, within a box that he can control is
Yeah. He'd
quite.
become defective, you think?
I think he would be defective automatically. Yeah. Thank you.
Lovely.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Loved all three of them.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Vampire cat indeed.
Excellent.
Anne Symons, would you like to read, please?
Hello, thank you. It's really delightful to be back here again, Janice. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you, everybody. I enjoyed and looking forward to the rest of it. Thank you. So I tried to think of things that might be pertinent to this time of the year. And I've started with Julian of Norwich because it's her feast day on the 8th of May. And Julian of Norwich was, as you may know, a female, and she was an anchoress. And an anchoress, medieval anchoress, they were a kind of religious order that were actually walled up in a cell. And so this is my poem on Julian of Norwich to commemorate her feast day on the May the 8th. Dust drops from her white veil, slides off her shoulders, clings to her worsted stockings, scattered by the bishop at requiem mass before the procession to the cell and walling in, dead to the world. Stone upon stone, fresh cut and layered like herring scales, a damp smell inside the walls. A pound of bread and a pint of wine, 2 meals on Sundays, water on Fridays, and fruit in season. The clock will strike the times for prayer, and the walls will grow green velvet. Break the alabaster of your heart, and all shall be well. Outside her window, the world churns and tumbles. Mothers scold, children sing, tinkers whistle, and soldiers weep. Sometimes they push aside her curtain, calling for advice and prayer. The world knows that God is in there with her, behind the walls. And now a poem from my 1950s Cornish childhood. Redanick Lane. Running down to school, freedom was no pavement. We could go anywhere. The big girls were in charge. They showed us where lords and ladies grew and not to touch the cuckoo spit on grasses. We could break the spiders' webs to let the flies go free, but usually we'd wait and watch them die. We learned to lick the leaves of pennywort and gently blow them into shape for fairy cushions. Not put our fingers into foxglove flowers in case there might be bees inside. That was the summer Ruth Ellis was hanged. She twiddled her feet when the rope went round her neck, the big girl said. Mind old Johnny on his bike. Don't skitter near him or he'll lift your dress and see your knickers. Once a week, we took our pocket money to Kay Koenig's corner shop. Sherbet lemons, 4 for a penny. The fizziness of Friday.
That last line.
And finally, in the garden at Penlee. Words tumble onto the table between us, slip off the edge, spill from the bench, roll around our feet. We are ankle deep in words. Some lie quiet in the dust, homely and unpolished. Others, sharp-faceted, scratch and make us bleed. Some, like butterflies, escape too soon, before we have a chance to appreciate their beauty. I want to call them back, feel the weight of them, turn them over and say, how so? And what was that? I sweep them up, fill all my pockets, so in days to come I can take out a handful and hear your voice.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Mm.
No, there was an anchoress in a local church near here. A friend of mine wrote a novel about her, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it's. I'm not sure which church it was. The cell she was in is still there. I
Wow.
visited it. I'm not sure it's Guildford. I think it's somewhere more towards Dorking. Anyway,
Oh,
very
that's
very
lovely.
interesting person. And you
Thank you,
really
everyone.
were there with her. Do people are putting things on the chat. I never look at the chat until the end, but please do look at the chat comments, because people are saying some very nice things. Thank you for doing that. So Ranald is back. Here he is.
Hello everybody. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, we can.
Good. Right, I've got two poems today. The first is a translation from French, but don't worry, I'm not going to lose my atrocious French accent on you. It's a translation from a Belgian poet called Émile Verhaeren, 1855 to 1916. His first language was Flemish, but he wrote in French, which was the literary language of the time. He was one of the founders of symbolism and was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature on 6 occasions.
Wow.
But he never got it. He never got it. You know, a bit like Leeds United, if you remember them. Some people probably don't. So this maybe accounts of a rather depressed tone of the poem. At the quayside, arriving from who cares, now they depart, but not before they hear a deep cry start out there at crossroads, seething with doubt. My body weighs me down, it wears me out. I want to rest here, I just can't. This bitter universe, this web of roots, woven of light and wind, it floats. Better just leave, no end in view, than sit the evening out and chew on triumph, confronting custom's debt, my oeuvre, in its dull heart, once fast and lithe, a life that ceased to leap beyond its life. Thank you. Right. And this is a completely different in tone. It's called The Miracle of Love. But for those of you who know the song, don't worry, I'm not going to sing it. The Miracle of Love, outro impro. Impro, of course, means improvisation, which poetry is. And outro, I learnt only when I looked up the lyrics of a song, is the opposite of an intro. I never knew that. So, Miracle of Love, outro impro, with apologies to Annie, Dave, and the band. The miracle of love must take a miracle. The miracle of love, we need a miracle. The miracle of love, let's not get hysterical. The miracle of love, let's get empirical. The miracle of love, first consult the oracle. The miracle of love, don't capsize ton cœur. Mon escargot, be caracol. The miracle of love, must true love be spherical? Might be conical, cylindrical? The miracle of love, hypothetic, categorical. The miracle of love, do I sound satirical? The miracle of love, ooh, let's sing a miracle. The miracle of love, reads banal, sounds so lyrical. The miracle of love, phantasmagorical. The miracle of love, literal, metaphorical. The miracle of love, even allegorical. Where is my miracle? That's it.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Could you write the name of that Belgian poet in?
In the chat, yeah.
in the chat for me, because when
Yeah.
I put the video on, I'll mention his name.
Okay.
Yeah, that was great. All those rhymes, are they from the song, or did you put those in?
Some are from the song, but most I put them in. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's quite a miracle, quite easy to find rhymes for.
Yes.
Other words, very difficult.
Yes, and symbolists are always depressing. I remember that from school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done.
Okay.
Okay, Simon Williams, please.
Okay. I've been writing a series of poems about dinosaurs, and they're none too serious, but they all have fairly fairly posh names, I guess. And this first one is about Pangaea, the supercontinent, splitting apart, and they're stuck on one half of it, and they think they ought to give it a name on their bit. So it's called Naming of Big Parts. So, if the land is splitting, we should give our bit a name. Several of us have been discussing this and drawing up a list. Right leg land was popular, but Ernest pointed out that wouldn't work if we turned round and faced the other way. While several thought best land was accurate, Daphne felt it could be divisive for folks stuck on second best land. Arnold suggested huge land, as he'd flown quite far and hadn't hit another coast. But Camille said we didn't know the size of the other bit. We realised we had to get this sorted, fix the name we wanted, otherwise some other creatures might name our precious land Gondwana or Dawlish. Yes, this is because they had so many millions of years to wander around in. I thought I'd better give them something to do. So this is Games Dinos Play. We tried hide and seek, but really, once you've bobbed down in the swamp, there are very few places to hide a sauropod. Tag was better, though again, dips are at a disadvantage, given our speed of movement and how hard it is to jump a wall. We are hampered with I Spy too, given the lack of an alphabet, and how Daphne keeps saying fern, even when we've done greenery. We thought we had a chance with catch, since there are lots of things to throw, and not all of them hurt. They do break teeth, though. Truth or Dare was a winner. Learnt quite a lot of Gertrude's love life, and she of mine. I think the look she gave me was of pity. And finally, this is not about dinosaurs. I found a thread on Facebook which was full of interesting epithets for somebody not being too bright. And so I wrote a poem based from that. It's called Upminster, which is the terminating station on the Underground District line. He's properly East Ham, they'd say, one stop short of barking, one olive short of a Metzay. The landing light's on, but there's nobody home. The wheel's turning, but the hamsters escaped. He's about as sharp as a bowling ball. So dense, light bends round him. Got a few kangaroos loose in the top paddock. I like the underground one, was going to use it in a witty poem on Trump, until I realised he's full Upminster, way beyond barking.
Oh, yes, that was great. Oh, my goodness, that's really brought the whole tone down. Thank you very much. I love it. Thank you. So, Jim, would you like to read for us now, please?
Just put my microphone on. You can hear me now, yeah?
Yeah, we can, yes.
So I'm going to read two poems, and the first one is called Old. The old were the ones who told the stories and were consulted when a particular kind of wisdom was needed. But now we're sick of their endless bloody ramblings. They used to do essential tasks that could be done sitting down. They're still sitting on their arse, and we're spending vast sums of money to keep them there. If only they would fade out quickly and quietly. Only I am old, but I'm certainly not finished here. It's bad enough that life's an impossible task, but then to also be told at some arbitrary moment, okay, time's up. You might think, well, what the fuck was that all for? So. The second poem is set in Ireland, so I presume some people know that the countryside in Ireland is dotted with ruins, some dating back to the time of the famine, but it's all because up until the fairly recent past, Ireland was subject to mass emigration. So there are houses from many different times that are falling into ruin. And the house where my father grew up was last inhabited in the mid-1960s. And it appears in this poem. So the poem is called In Kilquire. Absent sits serenely on this land and sets the birds screeching and wheeling in the air. Down there beyond, the lower fields are flooded, the white ice there in the distance calling something in the bright winter sun. And here, on either side of this abandoned road, which runs into brambles and uncertainty just beyond this spot, two houses stand, one on either side. The one facing the road with the same confidence as when it was built, but now proclaiming its hollowness. And the other, a smaller house, turned in on itself, protected by the walls of a shed whose only occupant is the abandoned donkey cart within. It is strange to see it standing there, which was once so familiar to me 60 years in time ago, when I rode in its hard thumping bed and saw it upended, its shaft used to hang chickens. In the house, the swifts have built their nests upstairs, high on the wall, and it is a comfort that they've found shelter here. As I stand in the dusty ruin of a room once warm and sunny, where I slept and shared a bed with my older cousin Mickey. A man's jacket is on a hanger by the stairs. Mildew gives it its unearthly green colour, while its owner no longer walks this land. That's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jim. Yes, Donald would really relate particularly to that last poem because I remember we visited a place in Cork where he used to, or a lot of his relatives live, and saw empty houses, completely deserted and very sad, just left as they were.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was lovely poems and
Thank you.
beautifully read. So we'll see if Daphne's ready. Are you, Daphne?
Yes, I'm always ready, Janice. I've got a couple from this month's Candyman's Trumpet. When I clean a fish, it's got an epigraph. Our memory is a more perfect world than the universe. It gives back life to those who no longer exist. And that's Guy de Maupassant. Slippery things, memories. Black, brown, silver, gold, like shoals of fish which slice through water, leaving their scent to linger in nose and throat and hair. The fish go with the tide. Dry seaweed, broken shells remain, traces of other lives, other realities. I expect the memories to fade, to become less present. So little time for familiarity. The child slid away, an unnamed fish wrapped in salt tears. The world shifted on its axis. The tide moves according to the moon. The fish follow nobody's timetable but their own. Knowing nothing but the memory in their bones, one day they will return. Unpredictable, unavoidable. The littlest ones pinheads, the largest like arrowheads. All prick and pierce the wall of acceptance I have built around the pain. There's a terrible beauty in the migration, the imperative to spawn in the place of their birth. It makes the heart stumble, the tears fall.
Hmm.
The ending.
Thank you. And then howling at the tide. He never seems to get any older than 8. It's not memory that's failed, more as if imagination and mind's eye have stalled. Every year I saw him grow, watched his yellow hair turn brown, his blue eyes become dark like yours. My grandsons are older than he'd ever be. Their soft limbs, a sorrow and a joy, remind me of what nearly was. I watch them play, wonder how they'd feel about an unknown uncle. Some conversations are too hard to hold. Long time past, the pain's still here, burrowed into bone and brain. On these days when nothing's left, I walk along the shore to howl at the departing tide. And I've got something which is slightly more cheerful. Aaron took us back to April. I'm taking us ahead to June, and I'm sorry, Simon, you've heard this before. 10 days. Every June you go to the churchyards, not to keep company with the dead, although they are good company. Beside the ancient yew trees, in the sun-striped shade of not-so-ancient limes, they lie, uncomplicated, quiet. Indifferent as the earth in which they rest, they will not attempt to mend your life. Here, in this timeless space, where the air is as soft and comforting as well-worn linen, you are filled with peace. Lime flowers smell of innocence and summer. For 10 whole days, this place is walled with magic. It's as absorbing as being in a bluebell wood. The honeybee scent of linden blossom is so solid you can almost touch it. Its warmth enfolds you like a benediction.
Beautiful poems, thank you.
Lovely, lovely writing, lovely.
Lovely poems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we haven't got, I think Alison unfortunately has given up. She's had trouble all evening, so never mind. David Bleiman, we've come to you, please.
So I have the usual 3 poems. First one is a poem about smells. Then an interesting relationship with Janice's poem about a talking blackbird. I have a speaking squirrel, but the squirrel speaks in Scots. And then I finish with a sort of more reflective poem. So the smells poem, Eau de Cologne. A discontinued essence stacked on the back shelf for a fading clientele, dabbed damp behind the ears, defies these passing years, like your slinky pink bra still turning in the tumbler. I return in a sniff to the olfactory, reeking resin and sawdust, coffee and spent sausage rolls, and Grandad in the office, marinating gently in his own mysterious juices. A whiff of disinfectant from the corridor of Mum's care home redolently recalls the stairs to an East Berlin flat where my flüchtling friends pencil plans to escape. Do not vape in the hospital grounds. Do not blow me blue raspberry flavors. Bring grapes. Do not bring flowers. By any other name, a nose that smells so sweet would overpower us. But wear the old essence now, will you? For me or for yourself? Come walk a while under this dripping dropper of the day, and let me gently nose your neck as cloud-scent perfumes spray, and flagrant odes with fragrant odours play. Okay. And now this one actually won a prize for a poem in Scots, despite my unusual Scots accent. And I think I should explain a bit about it. It features goosanders, which I'm calling sawneb, as they have a serrated beak, and a squirrel, which is sort of giving me a pep talk when I walk down the river in a sort of mood about the state of the world. And I have to say, it starts off with an epigram, which is about the opening scene from an Almodovar movie called Volver, in which we see this woman sweeping her own gravestone in anticipation. So this is called Dinnedichter ein leerstein. Has the time come to dicht my future lair? The snell east wind oxters in o'er the firth. The outwind bringes in af the forth. By the ferry steps, a sawneb skiffs. The sawneb skiffs by the ferry steps, flashing her fantouche reed rusk i the souk. Flashing her quiff i the cool as she slooms. A thocht stole weg to the plight of the world. The plight of the world, och the weg to it. A squirrel hings, quivering, staring me doon. Orden ma stare, least I droon. Heasen, Mon, we're both ettlin to hing by your claws. Hing on by your horns, hark your breath, and hold on. Dicht your last stain gin you mon, but no yet. Okay, and I'll finish with last orders. Entropy elected an emperor. Elected, erected, ejected, an emperor, error code, entrepreneur. The earth is out of joint, things fall apart. It's all been said. The human brain can't hold. The universe is losing energy. We huddle sockless in the sauna, sprinkling water on the coals. What's left is words, words, words. Dark songs, says Brecht, for darker days. Or shall we rage against the lying of the right? Where maccas gather snugly cheek to cheek and crowd around the open mic, we briefly sing our fears to rest. Compose, compress, condense and concentrate. A poem is a protest against entropy, doomed to fail. But what a furious flicker, lighting briefly corners of the dreich, flighting the one-winged thing called hope. In these bad times, I'm with McCaig. We don't have to produce bad verse. This one's no bad. You can have written worse. So comrades, cherish what we have in this our shared and special place. You need us and we need your smedden. Speak out, preen back your lugs, attend each other's voice. With pint in hand and pie on plate, last orders of the cosmos called. We thrive. At worst, we still survive in snugs and eddies of a troubled world, where modest pools of kindness swirl. Thank you.
Lovely. It's good to hear some optimism from north of Watford. Fantastic. I actually was partly brought up in Scotland. I didn't understand a word of your second poem. Sorry, I never picked up the lingo fully, you see. Anyway, it was very good. Thank you. And we're getting to the end. Oh, Barry, you're the last one. Barry Smith, please. All the way from Chichester.
Well, yeah, actually, Bognor Regis, really,
Oh,
on
is
the
it?
coast, just outside Chichester. So, can you hear me okay? I can
Yep.
see myself only on the little square. I don't know if you can all see me, but Here we go. As a festival director, I like going to other people's festivals where they do all the work. One of those that I like is the Bath Mozart Fest. And when I go there, I get away from the bustle, jump on a bus, and head out to Wells, another country, another time, a medieval city. And amongst the medieval clocks and cobbled streets, I had a little incident that I wanted to write about. In these old cities, often the roads are named after the trades that used to be plied there. So here we go. Grope Lane Blues. I've delved into the past in Oxfam, sifting through the piles of discarded records, looking for a gem amongst the sad debris of long lost parties, the Kinks, the Cream, and left a scuffed Emerson, Lake and Palmer on the shelf for someone else less fussy to find. Heading up the hill to the Gothic cathedral, once fronted by gaudy coloured saints, I'm joined on a bench near the King's Head by a pair of old hippies with walking frames, caught by the reincarnation of the 60s as a busker strums the strains of Bert Jantz, melding into the bleary-eyed anthem of Leonard Cohen's visionary song, reimagined by a woolly-hatted minstrel in a green fleece emerging from Grope Lane as we swell the chorus of alleluias from this capsuled vale of the city of Wells, stretching out past the moated Bishop's Palace to the hazy-edged heights of Glastonbury Tor. And this one has just been accepted for publication, but it hasn't actually made it to the public yet. It's got a little preface, so I'll read that first. It's in memoriam, the pupils of Petworth Boys' School, 29th of September 1942, and Mynab Girls' School, 28th of February 2026. Of temples and trees. Diverting through country lanes to avoid the biblical floods that have engulfed Shripney, turning the main road into a murky river, we drive through ancient woodland at Eartham, floating through puffing yellow-white yew mists, reaching at last the haven of Petworth Park, with the nurtured knolls, lakes and pathways of Capability Brown's pleasure grounds, and there, arising like a vision from myth, the domed, stone-columned Ionic temple is awash in a sea of wild daffodils, a palimpsest of spring beauty, Lent lilies, overlooking the site where the Junkers 88 unloaded its bombs on the local school, splintering fire and metal among the lost children of another age. Today, in Mynab, missiles seed plumes of sulphurous smoke above the school of the blossoming tree. Thank you. I can't hear the applause, but I can see your hands waving. And finish from one from my Dempsey and Windle collection, Reeling and Writhing. I thought I'd have something a little philosophical, but don't worry, it's I think, therefore I am. It's that chap. And he wasn't just a philosopher, a mathematician, theologian, very clever chap. So this is The Ghost in the Machine. Descartes was, one might say, somewhat eccentric. Lethargic too, he never rose before noon,
except to perform for an exacting queen who desired an elucidation of the cosmos. Needless to say, he left the court in haste, muttering oaths about the land of Gustavus, retiring to the comfort of an old Dutch stove. Very soon he died. Pleurisy and cold killed him. A little later, the revolution was over. His proof of God dismissed or ignored, others came who pronounced the death of the spirit, clocks in their hands and utopia in their hearts. They chanted wild slogans of man supreme. Later still, a new barrenness settled on the land. Some began to murmur that it was all a mistake, but the coordinates of the soul had long gone missing. Thank you.
I made a mistake. I've missed out our last reader, who is Jenny Brown Barnett. It was a confusion by me. There you are.
I'm very happy to just read one because
well,
you've had a lot
carry
tonight already.
Carry on.
I'll
You
just
read your 5 minutes.
Well, I'd particularly like to bring this one, and I hope it fits in with what's been said already. It's called The Power of Fire. Like a fountain, I said too much. My intention to give suggestion is unwelcome as usual. I take the unkind stings. This is familiar. It is as if I'm drowning. Later, when on my own, I crumple paper, lay sticks with logs for a fire at sundown. Time to consider why I get upset. Provocations are to provoke. I know this, so I try to accept. If I do not rise to the bait, do not splash words intending to help, my patience will flow, letting contentment grow. Flames of universal power, bring me to understand my fuss and fluster. Focusing on flames, conjuring heat and light, crafting color, yellow, orange, red. Fragmentation merges as distraction settles. I almost hear speaking, leading me to take from the power of fire. Absorbing the dance of my fire brings calm. This fire pit is the healthy hearth of my heart, the hearth of home generationally. Relearning what cannot be fixed can be left broken, infusing myself with flame, leaving some things the same. Thank you.
Jenny, do read another one. Go on.
Oh, if you're up for it. Okay, I've got this one here, which is quite short, and it's kind of like thinking about Anne's Cornish days in childhood. I thought maybe this would follow on. It's a memory from hot. Fresh, thick, full of goodness in a cup. Sit down, she said. Enjoy this soup before you set off to Morden. Her kitchen, watched her sons grow, nieces too. My sister passed her healthy soup, rich in kindness, full of hot. As I inhale steam, drinking warmth into me, as the cup held the heat, a memory landed of 60 years before. FHB, family hold back. Definitely no seconds. Visitors expected. These friends were not seen before. After being the new girl at 7 different schools, secondary school in London was next. It seemed like forever before Dad arrived. He could not fly like his children with Mum. He travelled overland across Africa, using disguises, moving at night with friends. FHB said all we children needed to know, friends from South Africa, from the movement.
Wow, that's lovely.
Yeah, what a story behind that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jenny. So thank you to everybody. Thank you for the listeners as well. I've just been noticing, because I mentioned you in my little, it's not a full report I put in, but my comment on the video. So thank you, Peter, Anne, Jan, Jeremy, Christine, Belinda, Judith, Sharon, Phil. Have I left anybody out? Thank you for listening. Thank you, everybody, all 14 of you for reading, 15, I think, for reading and in entertaining all of us. Thank you so much.